Welcome back, folks, to the Three-Man Weave College Basketball Show presented by SportsbookReview.com. It's New Year's Eve, and while it's not the gargantuan slate that awaits us this Saturday, I can see it in the distance, about 130-plus games. It's scary. There's a hearty appetizer on the docks tonight, folks. We're going to break it all down for you, make pit stops at all the major conferences, but a particularly bright spotlight will be shined on the Atlantic 10. But before we proceed, let's reflect. Last night, decent card. Ky, Jim, any major takeaways? I'll start with Jim. What did you learn last night, Mr. Jimbo?
I'm finally ready to throw Purdue in the trash, Matthew. They have let me down time and time again. And then last night, we weren't really on them with the show or anything, but for Ron Harper to get hurt, a late scratch right before that game, Purdue be missing him and Omarui, plus Jacob Young was like visibly beat up. Like he was kind of like limping after plays and stuff. And Purdue still couldn't get it done. That's just, it's too concerning for me. That team has a lot of alarm bells going off right now. They're not guarding anybody. And the Boilers, I'm out on them. That could be a bottom four Big Ten team this year.
I have a similar take, Jim, but it's the other way. I'm just uber impressed by Rutgers. I mean, beating Purdue without Harper, without Omarui, like you said, Young beat up. Purdue plus four backers maybe got a little screwed there at the end of the game. There was a chance to cover. Rutgers also just shot the lights out. 11 for 21 from three. Montez Mathis was 5 for 5 from downtown. He came in shooting 8 for 25 on the season, a sub 30% career shooter. That's just the type of night it was for the Boilers last night, Jim.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I mean, Purdue has burned us multiple times now on the road in some close ones. My takeaway is just a general macro Big Ten observation. I got a feeling that a lot of folks watching the show are like, when are these guys going to hang up the Big Ten under thing? I just want to point something out. Coming into last night, the over-under splits in the Big Ten were actually about even, give or take a few, depending on where you drew the line for closing, the closing value. What we're seeing here is the efficiency has been off the charts. Last night in that Rutgers-Purdue game, it played to a relatively modest pace, but when you have teams scoring at 1.23 points per possession, doesn't matter if you play 30 possessions, you're going to go over the total. So the question is this sustainable? As we continue to see the conference play out as the rest of the year, we need to be aware that some regression is probably going to come into play. Please trust us, folks. We're not stubborn. We might be a little bit stubborn, but we're betting on the variance monster coming back in our favor. Just a note to the followers out there. Before we go down into the rundown, just a couple of quick plugs. SBRodds.com. We will continue to beat the drum that value is king. All your line shopping, get it done there. SBRpicks.com/NCAAB. You'll find that directly above our beautiful three mugs. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Plenty of great content, breakdowns. Let's get into it. Instead of highlighting the Iron Bowl to start off our Power 6 preview, the bias is showing through bright in this opener here. Tennessee headed to Columbia to take on your Missouri Tigers here.
Tigers.
The hell with the Iron Bowl. Let's just get into this right now. I mean, I'll be honest with you both. I'm going to show my cards. I'm against your Tigers in this one. And I know one of you is on my side. Who will you have the nads to stand up and admit it? Jim, just come out and say it.
I like Tennessee at 3. Anything above 3 is too much for me. Okay. But, I mean, I've said it with basically every Tennessee game. How does the opponent score? And Mizzou couldn't score against Bradley. They struggled to score against Liberty. Really, the only team they've scored against is Illinois, and that defense has kind of been shredded, weirdly, this season. Yeah. I just don't know how they put up enough points. And this Tennessee team is just so much more talented. Yeah. So it's kind of like I almost want to take Tennessee still, but I'm trying to be disciplined with my number and leave it alone at anything above 3.
Yeah, Mizzou really dodged a bullet, Jim, with Bradley. They needed a last-second play and a blown call by the ref on the over and back pass to win that game. And Tennessee, we've talked about pretty much all year. They've been nothing short of awesome. Their schedule has been a little weaker the last few games, but I still think they're a top 5 team in the country this year. We're going to see 2 of the best defenses in the nation in this game. It's going to be a real slugfest. Unfortunately, like Jim said, I don't see Mizzou scoring very easily. I think Tillman gets in foul trouble. That's probably the most obvious thing in the entire world. So I do lean the Vols as well, more so as an emotional hedge because, guys, I'm rooting for my Tigers to win the game. I will have the money line in my hearts.
Oh, that's adorable.
I have one heart, not 2.
Oh, well, your heart is full with Missouri Tiger love tonight. I can appreciate that. My guy Nick L in the chat says Tennessee is his best bet in a long time. So I don't like it that much. It's not my official best bet, but I am gonna make this endorse this right now as an official play of mine. Tennessee minus 3.5. Call me out if that's gone to 4, but I think 3.5. I'm gonna lock in right here, and let's keep on going here. A lot of games to get to. We will do a chat mob break, by the way, after we hit the Power 6 leagues, and then we'll finish with the A10 and then best bets and another chat mob round of questions. Next up, Seton Hall at Xavier. We pivot to the Big East. Fellas, are we snoozing on the X-Men? Paul Scruggs has been a virtuoso at point guard. They got a big boost from Adam Kunkel, the Belmont transfer. The sophomores have looked really good. They've covered their last, I believe, 4 or 5. However, I think Hall's the better team. Just point blank. Jim, where do you stand on this matchup tonight?
It's weird. Both these teams have been way better offensively than defensively, and I think that was not what I expected for sure. Yeah. Xavier's been shooting the ball like crazy from the outside. I mean, Nate Johnson is shooting 54% right now. That's not going to hold up. So I think there's a little regression coming in Xavier's offensive numbers, but that should be offset by a little more improvement on defense. That's typically been where their bread is buttered. But, we'll see. I mean, with additions like Ben Stanley and Adam Kunkel, guys that are definitely geared more towards the offensive end of the floor and have been playing in lower level competition, maybe that's not going to translate to solid defense in the Big East. But so, yeah, the lean is to the over here. I think both teams will probably be able to score. I sort of lean towards the X-Men at home, but I don't have a strong take on the side in this game, and I'm not going to officially lock in that over. But I think both teams should be able to score. I'm not, Xavier's ability to guard Mamu is really anybody's ability to guard Mamu is questionable at this point. So, Ky, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I lean Hall too, guys. Honestly, from a side perspective, well, I guess Jim, you lean Xavier. I lean Hall actually at +3. I like Matt said. I think these teams are about even on a neutral floor. I think Hall might be a smidge better still. I understand Xavier. They've lost one game this year. They covered against Creighton too, very impressive. But like Jim kind of alluded to, their shooting is unsustainable. They are one of the best shooting teams in the country currently. I do think it drops off just a little bit. So at 3, I do lean Hall. Again, these are 2 even teams. Home court advantage, frankly, just isn't what it used to be last year, years before, obviously with the whole COVID situation. So it's a Pirate lean for me.
It's a Pirate's life for me and Ky, although not an official play. I just want to make sure we clarify that. But I'm with Ky. Mamu is just a matchup nightmare, and we saw him dominate St. John's. The team that didn't really have a great 1v1 matchup for him. I think Xavier has similar issues tonight. We've talked about how this team is a very different type of Xavier team. It's offensive-minded, it's skilled, it's finesse. They've lost a little bit of that edge and gritty and toughness that they've always had in the past years. So I think that comes back to bite them in this particular matchup tonight. Again, that's only a lean for me, not an official play. Let's keep on cruising here. North Carolina at Georgia Tech. Now to the ACC we go. I'd say both these teams would be on the disappointing end of the spectrum if you were evaluating the start to the year. UNC losing to Texas, NC State. Those are forgivable, but they just haven't really looked that great. They were, beat pretty badly by Iowa early. Georgia Tech starting off with those 2 tough losses to Mercer and Georgia State. Hey, they both beat Kentucky, but the whole world's beat Kentucky at this point, so tough to really put a whole lot of credence in that. Kyle, I'll go to you here first. Where do you lean in this one?
First match, shame on the Tar Heels for not only missing a cover against NC State, but losing outright. Caleb Love, we continue to kind of, throw him under the bus a little bit here. He continues to be a huge problem for them. 12% from 3. UNC is the 20th worst outside shooting team in the country currently. That's obviously not good. They've basically been relying heavily on their superb front court to win games, to stay close in games. Tech's MO is toughness, but I do think they lack the size and interior fortitude to combat that great Tar Heel front court. I do lean UNC in this game. I certainly think they'll win the game, and I do lean towards a cover as well. Jim, where do you stand?
I'm with you. The guard rotation's been bad, and Anthony Harris is apparently practicing, but he's not cleared for full contact or not cleared for game activity yet. So keep an eye on whenever he's able to return for this Heels team. I think he's going to matter quite a bit. He looked really good in his very limited stint last year. He played 4 or 5 games before tearing his ACL again. So keep an eye out for him. But yeah, Moses Wright's great for Georgia Tech, but he's only one man up against that massive onslaught of bigs the Heels have. I still think Love will figure it out at some point. I don't know if this is the matchup against Georgia Tech's weird kind of amoeba type zone, but I lean towards the Heels. I think that's the right side in this one, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's that zone that really will give the Heels problems, especially with Love and that younger backcourt. As Jim mentioned, Harris would be a huge addition if he's ready to play, but doesn't read like he is. I'm going to stay away from this one. I think North Carolina is obviously the better team, but the price feels fair, and I don't want to take it against a kind of a tricky matchup with a young sort of roster rotation, a little bit still in flux. Note that this is a battle of two 0-1 ACC teams, so I don't think there's any desperation or hunger lean on either side of the coin here. All right, next up, Penn State travels to my Indiana Hoosiers, Bloomington, and I am I'm extremely frustrated with the way the Hoosiers have closed out games. They are now 0-2 in the Big Ten, a tragic meltdown at the end of that Illinois game, costing us, and I would presume maybe some of our viewers, some money in that one. Indiana's been kind of a weird team to figure out, right? I think they know where their bread is buttered. I shouldn't like to say it's Trace Jackson Davis inside. The problem is that the exterior balance with the way the guards have played has not been consistent. We saw that come back against Illinois. They were unable to make plays down the stretch where Illinois' guards were. Kyle, go to you here first. Do you think Indiana gets back on track here against Penn State, or is there a chance they fall to 0-3 in the conference?
Yeah, Matt, both teams 0-2. You have to think both teams have that very clear in their heads right now. I do think IU is going to be a little extra motivated today at home. 10th best team or defensive team in the country clearly has been their huge driving force along with Trace Jackson Davis. But Penn State, I mean, they've been pretty good this year, guys. Despite losing Pat Chambers, they've been just about in every game they've played, probably blown a couple games they should have won. I made the spread right where it is, around 5.5 currently. But I am pumped to say, guys, I am throwing just a smidge on the over today. Finally, a Big Ten over. I know we talked about the regression monster pre-show or the intro of the show, but I actually do lean the over in this one. I feel like it's going to be hard to stop TJD. If you wanted to give me a lean on a side, I would lean Indiana. I think their perimeter D can be a little stifling for sort of undersized guards Jones and Sam Sessoms. Jim?
Yeah, I lean over a little bit too. Penn State has played faster at times this year. Virginia Tech really slowed them down, but other than that, they've gotten up and down. I've got a couple stats for TJD potential to go off here. Mamu had 30 points on 19 shots against Penn State. Hunter Dickinson had 20 on 14 shots. Kofi Coburn had 23 points on 13 shots. They just cannot guard big guys. They don't have the bodies. Their backup center is Trent Buttrick, is like a 6'7", kind of small forwardy type, and he's having to try to guard big dudes in the Big Ten. They don't have anyone that can stop him. The question is whether Indiana's guards can lock up Penn State's guards, which Matt kind of touched on. That could be an issue, but so I lean over. I made this game about 7, so I would have taken 5, but it did get bet up to like 5.5, so I'm not going to take it at that number. I think 5 would be my cutoff, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jimmy, you mentioned my guy, John Harrar, not exactly living up to the billing that I bestowed upon him preseason for Penn State. Definitely a soft spot inside for the Hoosiers to attack. Man, I just would like to see one other guard not named Armand Franklin play well for the Hoosiers, and just haven't seen it. Al Durham been a shell of himself since he missed that game against Stanford early in the year. Certainly some soul searching to be done there for the IU guards. All right, let's pause there. A lot of chatter I'm seeing flying in through the mob. Jim, I did not officially anoint you Chat Mafia.
I've been scribing. Yes,
perfect.
I have notes as well, Jim. So I'm your backup guy.
Ooh, all right, we'll compete. See if I missed anything. You can audit my notes. We've got several people: John Mitchell, Austin Mays, Juan Burseno, asking about Furman Chattanooga. Guys, this one's going off in about I think like 3 hours. This is an early tip. Big SoCon game here. I have a big lean to Furman. In fact, if it's 8 or less, I will take the Paladins. At 7.5. I will take Furman at -7.5. I think this Chattanooga team's a little bit kind of smoke and mirrors right now after David Jean Baptiste, or as we call him, Jean the Baptiste. Left Chattanooga. Malachi Smith has been incredible for them, but it's been a little bit of a one-man show, and this Furman team is just better. I think they exposed Chattanooga a little bit here, win by double digits on the road. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I love Furman, Jim. I will be on them as well tonight. Like you said, 8's probably the limit I would go if that spread gets any higher, but love betting on the Paladins. They're one of my favorite teams in college basketball.
They're our pals.
They are.
I actually like the under here, Jim. I don't have the updated price in front of me, but anything above 143. Last year, these two teams played very, very slow and methodically. Chattanooga, coached by Lamont Paris, former Wisconsin disciple. They love to go half court, crawl it back and forth. Furman, a team that can play very fast, but they're willing to play half court as well. They can execute. I think Richie Moore is a guy, a coach that takes pride in having a team that can play multiple styles, and I think he'll be willing to settle into a slower pace game. So I think the under is the right side on this one.
Did you say Richie Moore?
No, Bob Ritchie. I
Okay.
just called him his last name. I just said I omitted the first name there.
You get 144, Matt. That's what I'm seeing. So I'll give you that for the under.
I'll take it.
The other really early game, I know we're going to get to the A10, but I think we should hit it just because it is an early game, so we'll give people a chance to lock it in. James Zimbler asked about VCU and St. Joe's. I like VCU here. I'm not entirely sure why the number has gone down so much. Maybe people have some inside intel on Greg Foster, the guy who's potentially out for St. Joe's, a big creative force in that backcourt. But I think this is kind of a little bit like my Furman reasoning. VCU is just better. I think as a road favorite to start off conference play, they'll be in okay shape here. Ky, I think you're with me, correct?
I'm with you. Yeah, I like VCU too. I agree, Jim. I'm not sure why the line moved down a little bit, but fine. Great. Give me a lower number to cover.
8.5. I'll take VCU.
Yeah, I like them tonight against Joe's.
All right. What else we got? We'll hit a couple more, lots more A10 talk coming. So I'm going to save GW Fordham and LaSalle Dayton for our A10 section, basically, of this roundup.
Yeah, we may just hit every A10 game on the slate tonight.
We might. James Zimbler, Dom the Don, both asked about SMU Temple. Guys, I don't really want to bet against SMU, and this number has come down a little bit, which almost makes me happy because I don't have to take Temple, but it did seem a little high. Matt, you like the total here, do you?
Yes, I've been looking a little bit at the some of the impact with Yorane coming back into the fold for SMU. He's played, I think, a total of 13 minutes. This will be his second game back for the Mustangs. The infamous shot blocker at Oklahoma State. Will probably end up coming in, checking in with one of the best block rates in the country. He's just a mammoth inside. When they play him, it's impossible to score inside 6 feet. And I think they actually like to maybe establish him on offense occasionally. I think that plays well for the under on both sides of the ball. So I will be on the under in this one. 138 is where I drew my line in the sand.
Yeah, I lean Temple, Jim.
Unfortunately, below that number, Matt. So we're not going to give you a pick.
All right, fine. Stay away then, folks.
Ky, you said Temple?
Temple, yeah, Jim. But like you, man, I'm kind of scared to fade SMU.
Yes, favorite SMU is brutal. Okay. Jim Bean, a couple people also mentioned Providence. Butler, I lean towards Providence, but it's just I can't give any sort of recommendation on this without knowing whether Aaron Thompson is playing. Yeah. The key point guard for Butler. He makes their offense go. He's their best defender. And Providence has a little bit of the revenge factor. They lost at Butler last week, so I think they shot like 2 for 24 from beyond the arc. So I could see this being the Friars game, but if Thompson plays, that number's just too high right now, quite frankly.
Yeah, Butler's on my don't bet list until Aaron Thompson is, at least if status needs to be certain, right? This game to game, questionable day to day thing. I just don't want to even try and dig into the injury reports that much. Just put them at the side. There's plenty of other teams to bet on. Focus on those.
All right, let's hit one more before in the middle of the episode here, and then we'll hit the rest later. Larry Gibson and Nick Lagoya both asked about Murray State, Belmont. Guys, a giant showdown in the OVC. I kind of liked Murray State as just at the number. It had been, I think, 4 at Chris to open. It's been bet down a little bit. I think, 2.5, 3 is probably where the line should be. These teams are about even and, give a little bit for home court. So right now, I think the line is probably where it belongs. Either of you have a lean here?
I think if you have Murray State 3 still, I think it's a good bet. I like Murray State there.
I lean Murray. Belmont's just not. They don't have that same gear that we've seen in past years. There's some with this team that's a little bit off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I would lean Murray here.
They don't have the shooting. Kunkel leaving robbed them of just like that knockdown perimeter threat. They don't quite have that anymore. All right, Matt, let's hit the A10. There are definitely some other games in the chat. Don't worry. I've got Miss State, Georgia written down, Colorado State, the Iron Bowl. We'll get to all those, but it's A10 time.
Yep, let's kick it off. Richmond at Davidson. Back to the outline we go. Early money pouncing all over the Itsy Bitsy Spires in this one. I think Davidson opened as a favorite. Now, if my lines are updated, as I believe they are, Richmond is a 1-point small favorite on the other side. I'm pretty torn on where I stand here from a side perspective. All I know is that I'm just excited to get my popcorn, kick my feet up, watch some beautiful basketball. Both teams poetic on the offensive end of the floor. Ky, I believe you have a take on the total here. Tell the folks where you stand on that one.
Yeah, I do. And Matt, just side perspective, this is one of those games preseason. You see Davidson as a favorite. You would hammer Richmond going into the year, but Davidson has been very good. And these two teams are extremely good offensive teams. It's going to be very fun to watch. Davidson, a ton of firepower. They're going to be bombing away. Obviously, Richmond, their Princeton offense is just so fun to watch, and they're playing a lot more up-tempo this season too. Saying that, I like the over. I don't think either defense really stops the other offense, and my strike would be around 142. So I see 141.5 on the board. I'll lock that in for an overplay in this game.
And I'm seeing Richmond now favored in some places. You got to pick, so they're buying the Spiders.
Yeah.
If it goes a little higher, I might take Davidson as the home dog, but right around 1 on either side feels like kind of the correct line. So nothing too hard for me here. This is just a great game to watch. So much beautiful execution in the half court on both ends.
The Silver Fox versus the Mooney Man. What else can you ask for? Right. So it's going to be a delightful showdown. All right, another 8-10-1. And for my money, the best bet on the board, although Jim stole it from me he reached around and snuck it out of my back pocket.
I don't say I reached around it. Can we not do that? I don't want to. No, thank you.
I was trying to make a pickpocket reference, anyway, we'll continue plugging along here. St. Bonaventure at Rhode Island. The Bonnies are my team. I am the conductor of this bandwagon. I'll just keep it simple. If you can get the Bonnies as a dog, you take it. There's nothing really else to say in this one. Jim, I believe you're on my side. Tell the folks why Ky is a fool for not joining.
Whoa, I'm on him small.
Oh, did you join? Oh, good. Okay,
this is my best bet. St. Bonaventure as a dog. I think I don't think I can get 2 anymore, unfortunately, so I'll take 1.5. But man, Shun is going to be a problem. Rhode Island's offense is all about just like kind of spread you out and drive, but they don't have a 5-man that can shoot the ball. So Shun can really park himself in the paint, affect swat every single shot. I mean, if he doesn't block 6 or 7 shots, he'll probably alter 14 or 15 in this one with his length. And then the other end, if Mikal Mitchell's not on the floor, he can dominate the paint with he's kind of developing a post game. He's a tremendous offensive rebounder. And that, all this to not mention Bonnie's guards, who've been terrific. Lofton and Welch have been great. And I just think they're better than Rhode Island, even with Rhode getting the services of Towson transfer Alan Bertrand now. I'm all Bonnie's here. Let's go, Bon. I hope, Matt, come on. These guys got to deliver for me, right?
Jim, trust me. They're the more complete team. Mark Schmidt versus David Cox. I mean, the list of reasons why you take the Bonnies here is endless. Ky, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'll put some more context onto why we like the Bonnies. We don't know a whole lot about them quite yet. They've only played 2 games. We just think they're very, very good. They got up 30-7 on Hofstra before that game kind of flipped over. Obviously, a lot of experienced juniors in the team. Jim said Oshun, their big guy, and Lofton, their guard, 2 of the best players in the conference. But Rhode Island, let's not sell them short, guys. They're 5-2-1 against the spread. They've really played well this season despite dropping 3 straight games.
And Ky, I wanted to mention on them, they haven't played a team worse than Boston College yet.
Yeah.
Their schedule's been insane.
Ridiculous schedule, and they're covering. They're fighting back. I do think it's going to be a close game, but my gut does say the Bonnies win. So I'm with you guys, just a little bit smaller than your guys' hammer.
Okay, fair.
No, fair points, Mr. McKeon. And yeah, I've actually been on Rhode Island a few times this year. A lot of talent. The guards are prolific, very fast. Fats Russell sets the tone. But you got to take Bonnies. I mean, there's nothing else to say there. Let's continue chugging here.
That's what's canceled.
It just came through, on Twitter.
That sucks.
Paused all activities. So we don't get Duquesne at St. Louis.
SLU would have covered.
Do you want to do a hypothetical breakdown? There it is. Boom. SLU would have covered. Yeah.
How frustrating is that for Duquesne? Hasn't played since December 3rd, and now their opponent gets COVID, so they don't get to play. That is brutal for them.
Hey,
guys, luckily, we've got other A10 games here.
Yeah. We'll just pretend the graphics going across your screen right now we're showing, George Washington, Fordham, Jim. We want to lead off with that one. I think I've seen a few folks ask about that. Yep. Selfishly, I want to start that off with that because that's my best bet of the day after you pickpocketed my St. Bonnie best bet. The Colonials, Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 10 times. I don't care. This could be my most stubborn bet of the entire season. Just in a nutshell, I don't think George Washington, despite all their trials and tribulations, they've now lost 1.5 starters to transfer. Jameer Nelson, the latest to walk away from that team that is in what looks like some internal disarray. I just don't care. This team's better than Fordham, who's playing their first game of the year. And I just do not see any way in which Fordham wins this game. The game is in New York City, obviously, but the Colonials are the right side. Ky, am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I don't think you are, Matt. And frankly, I don't want to give away I don't want to help books out here, but Fordham's crazy overrated in KenPom. Their ranking makes absolutely zero sense to me. They should not be a 4-point favorite in this game. So I agree.
200.
Yeah, that's not how good this team is this year. So I agree. I hate George Washington too because they burned me so many times this year. But +4, you have to take that.
Yeah. I'm with Matt on George Washington here. Fordham's first game, it's going to be probably a sloppy mess for them. They're usually a sloppy mess, regardless. So now in their first game, George Washington's had Matt. I can't remember. Did you mention that they've had a couple guys transfer out lately? Maybe that's good. Maybe a little addition by subtraction. Maybe the locker room becomes a little tighter knit. They fall into roles better. But yeah, you got to take the Colonials here, I think.
Yeah, I think they brought in James Bishop, the LSU transfer, former top 100 recruit. Jameer Nelson, the guy who just transferred, I think he thought he'd be the guy. And it seems like he's been usurped and probably is a little bit upset by that. Just speculation. That's all that is. Jim, what are the other A10 bouts that people are asking about?
Black Widow mentioned LaSalle and Dayton. It's cool that we got a movie star and a superhero, Black Widow, in our chat. That's very exciting. Wow. But yeah, LaSalle at Dayton. I don't have anything strong here, but I believe you guys both do, perhaps?
Not hugely strong, Jim, but I am on the over in this game. Frankly, I can't really contextualize why. I'm on the over. There you go. Great analysis by Ky.
Oh, baby. Hard hitting. Matt, what about you? Anything here?
The Explorer. So I think this game plays out as such. Dayton gets an early lead. Game opens up a little bit in the second half. LaSalle really doesn't have an identity. They have no clear direction of how they play offensively. They're just kind of like an amoeba type offense. I'm not really sure what Ashley Howard's style is there, but so I think this game opens up after Dayton takes a early lead and thus pushes it over the total.
Basketball, Matt. It's Villanova. That's what they're doing.
It'd be so nice if every team tried to play like Villanova. Unfortunately, only Villanova has Villanova's players, so it only works when you have the talent to do it.
All right, I think that's all the A10 games today. Unless we missed one, people feel free to yell at me.
I got one on my best bets. Wink.
Yeah.
Nice. Good save.
We could either should we keep it in chat before then, Ky, or what do you want to do?
Actually, Ky.
Let's go best bets.
Yeah,
yes.
Ky, start with you, and we'll circle back to chat at the end.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a fresh line, guys. But my best bet is Massachusetts, UMass, -5 against George Mason. I believe 5 out there, 5.5.
UMass. How's that possible?
I know, we really do. I just don't think George Mason's very good this year, guys. They lost to Norfolk. They squeaked by Towson, squeaked by VMI. They didn't have Miller in those two games as a caveat, but the Howard win wasn't convincing. Belmont beat them by 10. Queens College almost beat them. George Mason's basically done nothing right so far this year. And I know UMass just lost to Bryant. Their defense was the culprit in that game, just frankly terrible. But I think UMass is going to run on Mason. They're going to get a lot of possessions in this game. The Minutemen have talented guards. They can shoot. They can do damage in transition. And then, of course, the cherry on top, Trey Mitchell. I know A.J. Wilson is a good defender for George Mason, but I think Mitchell still has his way. So UMass -5, -5.5 maybe, if that's out there currently too. I would take the Minutemen.
Yeah, I like UMass as well. Just a gut lane for me, but just Jekyll and Hyde team all season. That's what they'll be. If you can pick off and they're going to play well, they probably run away, but then they're also going to have some stinkers because their defense is very apathetic.
Yeah, George Mason not probably the offense that's going to take as much advantage of that defense the way that, say, Bryant did. So, yeah. I have no take on that one, but respect to Ky for his Minutemen best bet. All right, let's cycle through the other chat questions here quick. I guess, Matt, we'll reiterate our best bets before we do that. My best bet was St. Bonaventure, +1.5. Let's go Bonnies on the road. I think they went out right. I also took Furman and VCU earlier. Those are early tips, road favorites. I think they're pretty solid shape. Matt, what do you have on your slate today?
Yeah, I got the Colonials, George Washington +4 if it's still there. And then I also took Tennessee as well, -3.5. and I will also be on the Bonnies, as Jim mentioned there. So those are kind of that's my 3-pack with the G-Dub being my best bet. All right, to Chat Mob we go. Jim, let's cycle through these here.
All right, Two-Tone Jones asked about this pretty early in the show, so we'll finally get to it. Mississippi State at Georgia. I like Mississippi State in the road. I'll start with that. I've kind of been low on Georgia all season. I don't think they have the shooting to beat Mississippi State's more physical, lanky defense with Ben Howland. Either of you have anything on this one? I think I might be the only one.
Yeah. Nothing really, Jim. Yeah.
Okay. My guy, Alec Crusoe, who I met in Fort Worth, asked if we were going back to the Colorado State. Well, I think we're all flipping to the other side. We're a little more
about face. Yes, we are
leaning to Fresno here. Finally, they got a game under their belts. They should be a little sharper in this one. They got worn down late. Colorado State really extended late in that one, so hopefully they're in better physical condition in this one.
Very sloppy with the ball too. A lot of turnovers in that game, so I think they play a cleaner one in their the follow-up.
Somebody else I met down in Fort Worth, our guy Jay Money, the SBR NBA show. He is asking about Virginia and Notre Dame. I think it's a great bounce back spot for Virginia. They got maybe a little undervalued because Gonzaga smacked them around, but they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, we attended a Notre Dame Virginia game a couple of years ago. I believe when Virginia won the national title, they just destroyed Notre Dame. I think we maybe don't see that quite of dismantling this game, but I do think Virginia covers.
I did take the Irish small at 6. I will not tell others to do that. This team may be a shell of itself. I've been really unimpressed so far. I'm holding on to the Mike Bray program prestige, so that's why I'm on the Irish here, but would not recommend to others.
And then I'm glad someone asked about this. Joe asked about Radford Presbyterian. I love Radford here, so I'm going to add that to my slate for today. I just think Presbyterian is not good, and trying to find out what the current spread is, but minus 3.5, -4. I'd still take it there, so I'll add it at -3.5.
I'll add it too, Jim. Count me in.
Good.
Wow, that sounds fun. I'll stay
Go Highlanders.
Okay, so let's see. We've also got the Iron Bowl. We got to hit that, guys. Luke Permal asked about it. A couple other people. Arkansas, Auburn. I liked Arkansas as like a very short favorite, -1, -1.5, -2, but it's up past 3. I can't recommend that on the road.
Yeah, I think Arkansas is very clearly the better team right now. But again, like we've said earlier, Auburn is going to get better and better as the year goes on, especially if Sharif Cooper ever gets back on the roster.
Wait, did I call Arkansas the Iron Ball? Was that a mistake by me?
Oh, that's right.
Well, it's actually Alabama-Auburn, I think.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, it is not the Iron Bowl.
I don't know why I'm like having shades of crimson leading into Arkansas, which is Yeah, okay. We are aware that Alabama-Auburn.
That's on me. That's on me too.
This is a big rivalry in the SEC country, obviously. I have no take on this game. I think it'll be a fun offensive up and down type of game. I'm looking forward to watching as a spectator.
All right, last one. I've got a piece out here, guys. I've got to actually hop on another call that I've got going on. But DePaul, UConn. I kind of like the dog here slightly. UConn hasn't played in 10 days. DePaul's gotten a little bit, but they've been making everything from the field. So we'll see if that progresses. What do you guys think?
Demons playing possessed.
Yeah, love it.
We'll start the ranked DePaul chant after they win tonight. But all right, that wraps this up. Thanks, Shem, and Chat Mob participants for contributing. Big card tonight. Bigger card come up on Saturday. Stay sharp. Remember, SBRodds.com, always line shop, SBRpicks.com /NCAAB. Like, subscribe. We will see you back here tomorrow, same time. Cheers.